Hey guys, I'm for Poshpot and welcome to week 26 of the 2018-2019 Premier League review. If you are new to the series, what we do is take a look at the past set of Premier League's results, we take a look at the Premier League table and we finish off by looking at the top goal scorers. So here are the past set of Premier League results. These games were played on Wednesday the 6th, Saturday the 9th, Sunday the 10th and Monday the 11th of February 2019. As you can see, there's an extra game this week because Everton and Man City played on Wednesday, because on the original date of the fixture, Man City are busy in the Carabao Cup final, so the game got rearranged to there, and they both played twice this week and will have a game in hand, but only for like a week or so. But anyway, next to the games are the times in this video, so if you want to hear about specific matches, go to the time next to the game and you'll skip out all the other crap. But without further ado, let's get into our first match. We'll start with that midweek fixture as Everton took on Manchester City. With one of the final kicks of the first half, Man City took the lead through Emerick Laporte. Yet again this season, Everton are caught out from a set piece which has just been their kryptonite. It was the first shot on target in the game as neither team challenged the keeper in the first 45, but the free kick was faked, which makes everyone step back, and then David Silva whips the ball and Laporte gets to it and puts a good header into the back of the net. And Man City wrapped the game up in the 97th minute as Gabriel Jesus doubled City's lead. A few injuries led to a massive chunk of injury time, but despite the amount of added time, the result was never really in any doubt. Kevin De Bruyne picked the ball up, slid the ball through the defence to Jesus. He's one-on-one, his first shot is saved by Pickford, but the Brazilian gets under the rebound and loops a header into the net. And that's the game ended, with Man City picking up the win and going top of the table on goal difference. A week ago they were 5 points clear and could have been 7, but 4 drop points in a week from Liverpool, and Man City took advantage of it. It wasn't a vintage Man City display who had to show determination to fend off a surprisingly fired up Everton side. You would have thought that Everton would have just sat back and let Man City score loads considering the permutations if they won, but they actually put up a decent fight and had some decent chances. The win here sends City top for the first time in about 2 months, but recent results suggest that this is just the latest twist in the title race. And we move on to Manchester City versus Chelsea. Another City game, another early goal. It's just normal now at this point, innit? Man City sat their wide men right on the touchline and they stretched the Chelsea defence out. Kevin De Bruyne quickly releases the ball down the right to Bernardo Silva. His squared pass comes off of the heels of David Luiz and falls kindly to Raheem Sterling, who powered the ball home. And Man City doubled their lead 10 minutes later as Sergio Aguero scored a belter. Aguero picks the ball up away outside the box, turns his man, Jorginho puts a half-arse tackle in, just too easy for Aguero to skip past him, and then the Argentine unleashes a long-range effort from about 25 yards out and arrowed into the top right corner. Maybe a taller keeper would have got it, because as we know, Kepa, he's quite short, he's very small. And Man City made it 3 in the 18th minute. Yes, Man City were 3 up within 20 minutes. Sergio Aguero with his second, but Ross Barkley, what are you doing? He's on the edge of his own area. Surely he can't be trying to head the ball back to his keeper. It's a crowded penalty area. Sergio Aguero's offside, but it was a Ross Barkley with a banging assist, so he's not offside, is he? He's standing in an offside position if it was a Man City player, but it wasn't. Maybe Ross Barkley just got confused because both teams were in blue. I have no idea. The header from the edge of the area, right in front of the keeper. Aguero was just waiting for it and swept the ball underneath the keeper and into the bottom right. And Man City got a 4th in the 25th minute as Ilkay Gundogan got on the score sheet. Raheem Sterling has the ball on the wing, a few step overs to throw his man off before pulling it into the middle for Aguero. He can't quite get the shot away, but the ball does drop to Gundogan on the edge of the area and the German fired into the bottom corner with a first time effort. And Man City got the perfect chance to get a 5th 10 minutes into the second half as they were given a penalty. It's what Raheem Sterling always does, beats his defender with pace. In this case it was Cesar Azpilicueta. He dives in and the ref points to the spot. Up steps Sergio Aguero and he fired his spot kick into the right hand side of the net for his hat-trick, his second hat-trick this week and his 11th Premier League hat-trick, now level with Alan Shearer. And Man City got the 6th in the 80th minute as Raheem Sterling got his second of the game. It was a nice sandwich for Sterling. He got the first, City scored another 4 and then he got the last. He's the bread of the goal-scoring sandwich. Anyway, substitute David Silva starts the move off as he played it to the overlapping Alexander Zinchenko. He looks up, finds Raheem Sterling, and he's swept home from a few yards out. And that is how the game ended. What can I add? As soon as City scored their first, that was it. Chelsea could have gone home, but no one thought it would be this bad. The game could have been different for Sergio Aguero, who missed from 2 yards out and put it wide, but he reacted in the correct way. He didn't let that get to him and showed us why he's one of the best Premier League strikers we've ever seen. Chelsea looks shoddy, but don't worry guys, you can make up for it in 2 weeks in the Carabao Cup final, and maybe you can lose, I don't know, by 4 that time, who knows? Man City were comfortable as anything as Chelsea conceded 6 Premier League goals for the first time ever. And we move on to Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Liverpool took the lead 24 minutes in as Sadio Mane scored for the 4th game in a row. A corner was swung in by Jimmy Milner, but it was cleared. It came back to Milner on the wing though, and he swung a ball into the middle where Mane is just about offside. I'd say it's an inch or something. He broke free and headed down into the ground and into the net. And I'm sick of Liverpool scoring offside goals at this point. Who would have thought that? A Liverpool fan was getting sick of us being given offside goals. It's a joke at this point. And Liverpool doubled their lead 10 minutes later as Gini Wijnaldum, he just scored a gorgeous goal. Andy Robertson had the ball on the wing, he looks up, spots Gini making a run forward. The Scotsman dinks it forward to Gini in the box, and the midfielder takes a touch and chipped it over Artur Boruc from a tight angle. And Liverpool got their third just a minute into the second half as Mo Salah got the goal. Liverpool were inside their own half, but one ball through by Naby Keita, and Liverpool are in. He played it through to Bobby Firmino, who looks like he could shoot, but instead he calmly backheeled it into the path of Salah. That took 2 defenders out of the game, and Salah took a touch and slotted into the bottom left. And that's how the game ended, with Liverpool getting a rather comfortable win over Bournemouth. After 2 disappointing results in a row, this game was crucial for Jurgen Klopp's men, and they looked a different team to the one that should have lost to West Ham. Gini Wijnaldum was a doubt up until kick-off after falling ill, but thankfully he was fit and was in fine form. He's one of those Fernandinho type players. He doesn't always get talked about, but he does his job well in the middle of the pitch, and in this game he was more advanced than we're used to seeing him, and he got a fine goal for his performance as well. Bournemouth started lively, forcing Alisson to a diving save to his left, but after that they were rarely in the game, and once Liverpool took the lead, they never looked in danger of letting it go. And we move on to Fulham versus Manchester United. Fulham had the better chances in the opening 15 minutes, but they couldn't make them count, and against the run of play, Man United took the lead through Paul Pogba. Maxime Le Marchand loses possession cheaply, and it was played out wide to Anthony Martial. He sends it into Paul Pogba, who unleashes a powerful strike and beats Sergio Rico at his near post, but the keeper shouldn't be being beat there though. He's just stood at his near post, and he just watched it go past him pretty much. And United doubled their lead just under 10 minutes later as Anthony Martial made it 2-0 to the visitors. A lovely solo goal from the Frenchman as United win the ball back just outside their own box. Played up to Martial inside his own half. He just puts on the afterburners, rides the first challenge of Denis Adoy, easily skips past Le Marchand, manages to keep holding off Adoy and slotted into the bottom right corner. And United would get the perfect chance to take the lead in the 64th minute as they were given a penalty. It came from a Romelu Lukaku run. He turns one, takes a heavy touch around another, laid it across to Juan Mata. As Mata tries to turn Maxime Le Marchand, he basically runs into him, bundles him over, and the ref pointing to the spot. Paul Pogba stepped up to take it, and after his slow run up, he fired into the bottom corner. And that's how the game ended. Despite the opening quarter of the game, after that, Fulham barely threatened the Man United defence. Claudio Ranieri's side have lost 5 of their last 6 as a return to the Championships looks more and more likely with every passing week, and after the promising start to the game, they only tested David De Gea once in the second half. Maxime Le Marchand had a shocker. Someone needs to have a word with him and tell him he plays for the team in white. The amount of time he gave the ball away was unreal. He tried to run out from the back a lot, but he ended up just running into a United player all the time. It was just a shocking performance. Most, if not all, of United's chances in this game came from an individual Fulham error, and they could have had more, but in the end, it was a comfortable victory for United nonetheless. And we move on to Brighton versus Burnley. Burnley took the lead in the 25th minute as they scored with their first shot on target. Ashley Barnes has his back towards goal inside his own half, but he chests it down, hits it forward. Lewis Dunk, who is supposed to be marking Chris Wood, slips, and the New Zealander is in. He takes it towards goal before firing it past Matty Ryan and into the back of the net. And Burnley doubled the lead in the 62nd minute as Chris Wood got his and Burnley's second of the game. Brighton boot one forward, but it's easily headed clear up to the halfway line for Dwight McNeil. He turns, skips past 2 challengers, makes his way forward. He lays it off to his left for Chris Wood, and he hit one first time towards the net, and the bounce on the ball makes it difficult for Matty Ryan, who can get a touch on it, but not enough as it goes into the right hand side of the net. And Burnley would get the perfect chance to get a third in the 73rd minute as they were given a penalty. 2 games in a row now for Burnley after none for 60, but this one was mad. 30 seconds earlier, Brighton were denied a clear penalty for handball. Like, literally, Hendricks punches the ball away. It's blatant. Ref all linesmen somehow don't give that, and then Burnley clear. Ashley Barnes beats the offside trap, is one-on-one, tries to round Matty Ryan, and Ryan brings him down, and the ref gives one at the other end. Ashley Barnes steps up to take it, and he puts the ball straight into the bottom right corner to pretty much wrap the game up for Burnley. But Brighton were going to go back just a minute later as Shane Duffy tried to mount a comeback for Brighton. Brighton had a free kick deep inside the Burnley half, and it's route one. Free kick pumped into the area. Shane Duffy breaks free, heads back across goal, and into the corner from 6 yards out. And as the game ended, as Burnley continued their unbeaten streak in 2019, Tom Heaton showed here why he is indispensable to Burnley in this relegation fight they find themselves in. He produced 3 lovely saves to keep his side in it. He stopped Solly March and denied Pascal Gross twice, the second Pascal Gross save being the pick of the bunch for me. In a similar match about 2 months ago, Brighton had just beaten Crystal Palace 3-1 and sat 10th, then being 12 points clear of Burnley, but since then the stats have not made for pretty reading for the Brighton fans, as they've won just 1 game in their last 11, and due to those poor results, they now find themselves deep in this relegation fight and on the same points tally as Burnley. And we move on to Tottenham versus Leicester. It was a bright start to the game by both sides, especially Leicester, who had some good chances, but then just over the half-hour mark, Tottenham took the lead through Davinson Sanchez. Tottenham had a free kick in a wide area, Christian Eriksen swung that in, the ball heads towards the 6-yard line, and diving in for it was Sanchez, and he powered his header home. But Leicester got the perfect chance to level it up 10 minutes in the second half as they were given a penalty. It's just comical defending from Tottenham, really. They're falling all over the shop, and eventually the ball pops up for James Maddison. Everyone expects him to win it first time, but instead he took a touch, bundled over by Jan Vertonghen, and the ref pointed to the spot. Jamie Vardy was getting ready to come on at this point, and he came on and took the penalty kick. He had the chance to score with his first touch of the game. He aims for the bottom left corner, but Hugo Lloris reads him well and palms it around for a corner. And just a few minutes later, Tottenham would make Leicester pay for that penalty miss as they double their lead through Christian Eriksen. I don't know what Ricardo Pereira is doing. He's faking clearances on the edge of his own area, but not doing anything with it. And in the end, his clearance is blocked and falls straight to a Tottenham shirt. It's played forward to Fernando Llorente, who taps it off to his side for Eriksen. The Dane's still got a lot of work to do, but he gets it onto his favoured right foot and curls one into the bottom left from outside the area. But Leicester would get a goal that they did deserve in the 75th minute as Jamie Vardy made up for his penalty miss. Ricardo Pereira and James Maddison play a 1-2 and it leaves Pereira in a great position. He's on the right hand side of the box, drills an effort into the 6-yard box, and there running into it was Vardy, who put it home from point blank range. But Tottenham put the game to bed in the 91st minute as they got their 2-goal lead back as Son Heung-min got on the score sheet. It actually started with a Leicester corner, and Moussa Sissoko's clearance turns into a fantastic pass for Son. Obviously outpaces Johnny Evans, runs half the length of the pitch, and slotted it home past Kasper Schmeichel. And as the game ended, Leicester will be furious with themselves at the amount of good chances they squandered. They had a good opening 20 minutes as Harry Maguire went close and Harvey Barnes had a few good chances. They were missing Vardy's cutting edge, and despite a bad introduction to the game, he did make the intended impact and showed why he should be one of the first names on the squad sheet. Tottenham had to snuff out a late Leicester comeback to secure the win and grab their 4th league win on the bounce whilst doing so. And we move on to Huddersfield versus Arsenal. Arsenal took the lead in the 15th minute as Alex Iwobi put the Gunners in front. Sead Kolasinac has the ball on the wing. He pumps a ball deep into the box. It goes all the way to the back post where Iwobi's creeping round. He hits it into the ground. I'm not sure whether it's going wide, but it takes a deflection off of Terence Kongolo, which wrong foots his keeper and sends it in. No matter what, if it was going wide anyway, Iwobi's been given the goal, so who cares? And also double their lead just before half time as Alexandre Lacazette got Arsenal second. Huddersfield weren't bad in the first half, but they just couldn't make it count as they drove men forward. Arsenal deal with it and they charge forward themselves. Henrik Mkhitaryan's initial cross was blocked, but it came straight back to him. He laid it off to Ainsley Maitland-Niles and he drilled the ball across the box, and arriving at the back post was Lacazette, who was left with a simple tap-in. But Huddersfield would cut the deficit in half in the 92nd minute as Sead Kolasinac inadvertently put the ball into his own net. Adama Diakhaby has the ball in the area. He shoots, Bernd Leno smothers the ball at his feet, but he can't hold it and the ball bounces up behind him. Kolasinac just can't sort his feet out quick enough and ends up just side-footing the ball into his own net. And that's the game ended with Arsenal getting the job done despite a much improved second half performance from Huddersfield. This was Arsenal's first away win since November, which I'm shocked by that. After a bag of mixed results in 2019, this was the perfect game for Arsenal to get back on track and put the pressure on that top 5. Most of their games this season, Huddersfield have played well, but they've been poor in front of goal, and yet again that applies to this match as well. Diakhaby and Depoitre both missed chances, and despite Huddersfield's first goal in just under 10 hours of football, it wasn't enough to retrieve a point. And we move on to Southampton versus Cardiff. In a real relegation 6-pointer, it would take until the 70th minute for one of these teams to break the deadlock, and it was Cardiff as their captain Sol Bamba put the Bluebirds in front. A corner was swung into the area and it was flicked on by Callum Patterson. The flick on goes towards the far post where Sol Bamba is on hand to fire past Alex McCarthy and into the back of the net. But Southampton levelled the game up in the 91st minute as Jack Steele Stevens surely stole Southampton a point. A corner yet again put in, and yet again it's flicked on at the near post, this time by Charlie Austin. Sol Bamba doesn't want to touch it in case he scores an own goal, but what he doesn't know is that by not touching it, he just opens the door for Stevens as he runs in at the back post and smashed home from close range. But would you believe it, 2 minutes later Cardiff scored again as they won the game with one of the final kicks of the match. After being the hero for Southampton, Jack Stevens gave the ball away, and it's back to the Wolves defender for Southampton as the ball was put into the middle. Harry Arter volleys towards goal, but it was blocked by Southampton. They can't get rid of it, and it falls to Victor Camarasa. He shields the ball, taps it off to Kenneth Zahore, who rolled his effort into the bottom right corner. And that's how the game ended, with Zahore's last gasp winner taking Cardiff above their opponents and out of the bottom three. The Cardiff City keeper, Neil Etheridge, was the busier of the two keepers, but Southampton were mainly restricted to shots from distance. It wasn't the best first half, but it was a fantastic finish to the game, as the late winner means that Cardiff have won back-to-back games in the top flight for the first time since 1962. And we move on to Crystal Palace versus West Ham. The visitors got the perfect chance to take the lead 25 minutes into the game as West Ham were given a penalty. Vincent Guaita stupidly brought down Mikel Antonio in the area, and the ref pointing to the spot. Mr. West Ham stepped up to take it as Mark Noble sent the keeper the wrong way and put it into the bottom left corner. But Palace levelled it up in the 75th minute as Wilfried Zaha got the equaliser. They were battling for it, and no one can say they didn't deserve this goal as Zaha battled for it on the left hand side of the area. It breaks free to James MacArthur, and he gives it back to Zaha, who shoots from a very tight angle. It took a nasty deflection off of Issa Diop's foot, which sent it looping into the air and over Lucas Fabianski and into the net. And that's how the game ended, with Palace getting a draw despite the fact that they should have had a few more goals. Their second half performance was head and shoulders above their opponents. James MacArthur hit the post from a free effort inside the 6-yard box, and Zaha was denied his second by Fabianski as well. It looked like their finishing was once again going to send the Palace fans home disappointed, but Zaha showed the cutting edge they need in front of goal and earned his side a point. And we move on to Wolves versus Newcastle. It was a scrappy first half with no real chance for either side, but one of the nets would be bulging 10 minutes into the second half as Newcastle took the lead. Fabian Schär picks the ball up just inside the Wolves half. His heavy touch nearly takes it away from him, but he manages to play it forward to Isaac Hayden just inside the area. His first touch takes it away from his man and he shoots from a tight angle. Surely Patricio has got to save it. No. Patricio thinks Hayden's going to cross it, so he dives across, and as he attempts to save his blushes, he can only palm the ball into his own net. And I've just realised as I'm saying this, I've made it seem like an own goal. No, it was an Isaac Hayden goal. It was just a terrible mistake. But Wolves earned a point with one of the last touches of the game as Willy Bolly levelled the game up in the 94th minute. A cross was put into the middle from the right hand side. Martin Dubravka comes up for it. I still can't tell you whether I think this is a foul or not. For me, from a video, it's not a foul because of the amount of contact. There's really nothing in it, but photos floating around Twitter suggest otherwise. If you believe the photos on Twitter, it makes it seem that Bolly was dragging him all over the shop, covering his eyes. Not the case at all. And you know what? Just me talking about it there, I've talked myself into my decision. Not a foul. It's a contact spot. No. Dubravka messes it up. Yes, a bit of contact. I don't think VAR would have overruled it anyway. And even without the contact, Dubravka's not catching it because he's too under it. He's never getting it. He's misjudged it completely. And Dubravka and Bolly going up for it. Dubravka misses it and Bolly's on hand to head home. And that's how the game ended. Wolves may have controlled the tempo of the game, but Newcastle's hard defensive displays seemed to have paid off. 10 men were often put behind the ball and they restricted Wolves to just the 2 shots on target in the first half. Wolves also controlled the ball in the second half and created several chances to score, with Newcastle content to sit back and hit them on the break. But even when the horse did get through the Newcastle back line, they were guilty of missing some good chances. Raul Jimenez was particularly poor, with him having just 1 shot on target from his 6 attempts overall. Newcastle looked on course to get 3 valuable points, but for the second time in a row against Wolves, they concede late and sit just 1 point above the drop zone, whilst Wolves are in 7th on a 4-match unbeaten run. And finally, we've got Watford versus Everton. It was a feisty game considering what has happened between the two sides in the past few seasons. Fair to say Richarlison and Marco Silva weren't very popular men at Vicarage Road. But the home fans would do something other than boo these men as their team took the lead in the 65th minute through substitute Andrea Gray. Everton were building pressure, but Watford held on and broke as Craig Cathcart played in Will Hughes with a no-look pass, and Hughes fires the ball across the face of goal, and Andrea Gray was there to tap home for his first goal since September. And as the game ended, but the action didn't stop there, as after the final whistle, Kurt Zouma was shown 2 yellow cards for dissent. I mean, he can't really blame the ref for this. Look look at this picture and tell me that Zuma isn't going to stab the ref. Look at that. Everton did have more chances in the second half as Gylfi Sigurdsson hit the woodwork twice and Dominic Calvert-Lewin should have done better with 2 headers. But in the end, it's a 3rd league defeat on the bounce for Everton. But this one would have been the hardest for Marco Silva to take. Right, so that is all the games I've got for you this time. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers, starting off with the Premier League table. Starting with the top 5, and as you can see, Man City are on the top on goal difference after winning both of their games this week. Liverpool are 2nd after getting back into winning ways against Bournemouth. Tottenham are 3rd after beating Leicester. Man United moved up to 4th after beating Fulham, and Arsenal moved into the top 5 for 2 reasons: their win over Huddersfield and because of Chelsea's bumming at the hands of Man City. Moving on to the bottom 5, and Huddersfield are bottom after losing to Arsenal. Fulham are 19th after losing to Man United. Southampton make up the relegation zone after losing to Cardiff. Speaking of Cardiff, they jumped over Southampton and out of the bottom 3 into 17th, and making up the bottom 5 is Newcastle after a late draw with Wolves. Moving on to the top goal scorers, and as you can see, Mo Salah is on the top after a goal against Bournemouth took him to 17 goals and 7 assists. After another hat-trick this week, Sergio Aguero shot up to 17 goals and 6 assists. Pierre Aubameyang was left out of the Arsenal squad this weekend. He's on 15 goals and 4 assists. Harry Kane is on 14 goals and 4 assists. And Eden Hazard makes up the top 5 on 12 goals and 10 assists. Right, so that's all I've got for you this time. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back in 2 weeks' time on Tuesday the 26th at 4 PM for the next episode of the Premier League review. Yep, no episode next week because of the FA Cup break, so no league games next week. If you want to stay up to date about anything we do, it would be best to follow us on Twitter. The link to that is in the description, or it's at portionofsport_. Hopefully soon we can start streaming again. We got hit with the copyright strike, but that's gone now. But if they strike us again, I'll take them to court at this point. I'm sick of it, to be honest. If you missed the last episode, that'll be on the right hand side of the outro screen, and a link to the channel will be on the left if you feel like subscribing. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. I've been Mark from A Portion of Sport, and I will see you soon. My mama calls, see you on TV, sunset shit done changed. Ever since we was on, I dreamed it all. Ever since I was young, they said I won't be nothing. Now they always say